is shaking up my heart. Ah, keep on the lights, turn it down. Keep on the lights, turn it down. Ah, keep on the lights, turn it down. No one loves me like I do. I've never been deflated, but it sure was ashamed when I loved a boy who had two hearts. Told her you and room up there, she climbed up past the stairs and didn't pay her rent for months. Ah, keep on the lights, turn it down. Keep on the lights, turn it down. Ah, keep on the lights, turn it down. No one loves me like I do.
Even though all of our staff isn't here, we're going to start. Welcome to Storyphile. Glad you're here. And not all of our performers have arrived yet. I guess the traffic's extra heavy today, so. And people in LA just aren't used to that hot weather, so I don't know what's going on.
It's May Day.
They're all on the beach. It's May Day, and there was a huge labor march downtown, so it's packed.
Those are all good reasons as far as I'm concerned. To not even show up. To the job secretary of the union, the Lawrence, Massachusetts Bread and Roses strike, where 24 different nationalities who spoke eyes side. Joe Hill is at their side. From Salt Lake, you're 10 years dead. I never died.
Hello, I'm Kayla. Hi. And I'm going to be singing 3 songs tonight that I wrote. A little bit.
What happened?
I'm just fiddling. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to be singing 3 songs that I wrote, and this first song is called Starlight. You draw the starlight out of me. I can see now, past tomorrow, as long as you stay. Here's night to live. When the smoke clears, I promise I'll be here, and I'll stay along, 'cause I'm usually not. There's something about you that keeps me entranced, like wind on the water. You make everything dance. I could sit here and watch you hold. I'm just strung right along. You're the words to my song, and you draw the starlight. Though my edges were frayed and my heart was unmade, you draw the starlight out of me, out of me, out of me. This next song is actually the newest one that I've written, and I actually moved to Hollywood in September. And it's been kind of like a rough transition, and so I just felt like I was getting lost in the city, and I decided to write a song about it. So this song is called Alibi. Dirty old city will get you down now. Follow the footprints left on the ground. Strangers look in your eyes and then look away. 5 minutes by, they forget your face. This dirty old city will eat you up. Keep you wondering if it were enough. Colors are blurring boy that I knew in high school, and I'll just kind of let it explain itself, but this is called No Vacancies. He was alright, or so it seemed, but I can tell you now that try as I might, I couldn't breathe an ounce of tender in his life. He's too far gone, but I was haunted by the dullness in his eyes. In his eyes, we were alright, so I believed that even though there were no empty rooms left in him for me, we'd find a way to make it by. I'm too far gone, but I was longing for someone to call my own. So through the phone, I said, ooh, darling, you are the sun beneath my wings, darling. You are the cause of everything I have. I won't be the same, not since you came. Ooh, darling, essential to this heart of mine, darling. My fundamental reason why I'll take all the blame if you'll just stay. Saturday night, no vacancy, it's in his motel, but surely he'll make an exception for me. That's what I tell myself, 'cause now it's too far gone. It's just the road we walk upon. Isn't this love? Isn't this enough? Oh, it was alright if I wrapped my arms around myself and stopped counting the times I'd look at him, see someone else, and he's numbering his days, but I still fumble through his haze, 'cause I think I can make him change if I just find the words to say. Ooh, darling, you are the sun beneath my wings, darling. You are the cause of everything I have. I won't be the same, not since you came. Ooh, darling, essential to this heart of mine, darling. My fundamental reason why I'll take all the blame if you'll just stay.
That's great. Thanks. Let's give her another big hand. Wow. So I'm glad to give an opportunity to somebody with that much talent to come and play for us. We're really happy to have you. Oh, that was nice. My lords and my ladies of the world of people, so begins the Gettysburg Address by the great Lord Buckley. And a few years ago, I was performing Lord Buckley, who's one of my favorite people that ever lived. And a woman came up to me and announced that she was his daughter. And I was so happy to meet her, and I've invited her to come tonight and tell us a few stories. And so she's a wonderful storyteller, so it gives me great pleasure to present Laurie Buckley. Glad to have you.
You know, the life of an artist is an amazing thing. I used to think I could barely take direction, but I love to give it. And, I used to be afraid that I'd get lost all the time, because what happens. But then a friend of mine said, Laurie, I love getting lost if I can figure out where I am. And you know, I got over my being lost thing. And the evidence is because I'm here tonight, okay? Because I got lost. And I have to say how beautiful your voice is, and how lovely the word darling. When you hear the word darling, it's the most amazing thing. When my brother was in a skilled nursing facility, I was there all the time, because if you got anybody in one, you want to be there all the time, fighting the demons of selfish owners and uneducated staff and the ones that struggle with what they don't have. And it's really all about love. And I want to encourage you, your sweetness. When you say the word darling, it just softens everything. It makes it so sweet and tender. And I've been darling ever since. My mother used to say it, and I realized she used to say it all the time, and I never said it. But it's so sweet in the tone of your beautiful voice. You know, the spirit of an artist, it's an amazing thing. And you know, I let spirit lead me, even when I passed the street, went across that bridge, came back, people yelling at me, loved me enough to say, "You're going the wrong way!" Thank you. I had my daughter on the phone acting cool, like it's just touching the inside of my hair. Because boy, is there a lot of police around here. And they're not looking for me, but hey, you know, whatever. But it's so important that you continue to believe in the gift that you give, the sweet, simple beauty of your voice, the power of it, and that you share these lovely laments. Of course, yeah, when you're talented, your heart can get broken 1,000 times. And I know this because I've danced in the land of the ungrateful before. I know what it's like. And when I heard Lee speak, tons of people coming from all over the world to find a dream so that they could own themselves and have their own life the way that they wanted. It was such an amazing thing. Oh, my dad's father, he was the seventh son of 7 sons and daughters in Manchester, England. His father raised horses. The girls were primed for marriage. The boys had to clean the stables and give their money to the church. Well, you know, William Buckley didn't dig it at all. So he hopped on a boat the long way, because there was no Panama, and came up to the shores, the ship loading areas of San Francisco Bay, which was booming with people dreaming and putting everything they had to make something wonderful happen. It was an amazing thing. I read there was like hundreds of ships in the bay. People, they had to wait to get in and get out, and how rough it was. Well, he would meet Laurie. She was a laundress. She was a pretty little thing, a gabby little shape, and she knew everybody. And because you got to do your laundry. And they fell in love. And she had a couple of kids and was a widower. And they fell in love, and they went on with little they had to be miners, to find a way for their dream to come true. And they would have 6 kids. And the youngest would be Lord Buckley. Now they said you always knew where they lived because there'd be a big RB, Richard Buckley, on the door. The kids were taught at an early age that when their father, you know, when he couldn't do his own steaks anymore because big mining, oh, they hated that, they weren't going for that. But they could get what they wanted for Christmas. Aunt Nell wanted a doll. She was 2 years older than Dad, and he wanted a train. And so they went, okay, whatever. No cussing, bathing, going to church. And finally the day came. Well, everyone got their presents at the church, and they were patiently waiting. But the minister came over and gave them each an apple and an orange. And the first thing out of their mouth was, "You damn son of a bitch, where's my train? How dare you?" And they were kicking and screaming and calling them names, and he picked them up by their ears, and he tossed them out of the church. Well, their cousins went and gathered their pennies and got them a little something. But Lord Buckley figured out a long time ago. He said in order for a man to know what it is to have nothing, he must have nothing! He knew all about it. So he set out to the world, set out to try his world in show business, and he did. He had a rough start, picked up 2 guitar players, was in the Aztec Theater somewhere in Texas, and then club owner said, "That's the worst act I've ever seen." But that didn't stop him. He would work his way up to work for a guy you might not have ever heard of named Leo Seltzer. Now Leo, during the Depression, which was a horrible thing, 25% of America was out of work. Bankers and stockbrokers were throwing themselves out of windows. I'd have paid to see that. Today, hey, let's sell tickets, go for it. Yeah, bad. And so they created these walkathons. times they were maybe marrying 100 people, people were dancing for weeks and months, and they'd get sleep, and there'd be all kinds of rules, and they'd go from town to town, and life was so miserable. They had nowhere to have any fun. Every time there was nothing in the cupboard, no gigs, no jobs. What could they do? But for 25 cents, they could go into a tent show or into the Arcadia Theater in Chicago, New York, and forget everything outside that door, which we know is the beauty of theater. And Lord Buckley, he was Dick Buckley then. He was so wild and so crazy because he'd been a lumberjack. He'd been everything he could be to figure out what he was going to be. And he would climb the archways of the Arcadia Theater, and he would rip all of his clothes off down to his underpants and threaten to jump. And they loved him for it. They thought that was the most beautiful thing because it took their mind off the tragedy that they were living. And Lord Buckley knew this. And the girls were screaming. The men wanted to kill him. But Al was the boss. So they looked at Al, Al looked at them, they looked at Al, Al looked at them. He started laughing, and he bought all the girls new coats. Well, you know, Lord Buckley learned a lot about working with the gangsters. He had great skills. That's where he met Anita O'Day. And he taught Anita O'Day, who kept getting fired, the famous jazz singer. She was just a hoot. And she kept getting fired off the gigs because she couldn't scat, and she sang too low. So Dad set her down with some records and taught her to what's up, because he was always helping people. He knew what it was like to be down. He knew what it was like to have nothing. But he believed in the power of imagination. And as he studied, he was married 4 times before he got to my mom, but everybody liked each other. Nobody was mad. Not to say he didn't ride him hard and put him away wet, but that was Lord Buckley. He had his own way. But something happened to him. He said the title of lordship started one night in Chicago when a guy came up and called him and said, "Hey, Dick, I just bought a circus. Come and check it out." So Dad got in the car, went out, and he said they were looking at animals and wardrobes, and he went over and he put on a robe and a crown. He looked at himself in the mirror, because he had always loved the Knights of the Round Table and thought they were very cool. But he looked at himself and he thought, I'm going to be a lord. I'm going to be Lord Buckley. Well, not only did he title himself with his happy little costume, he put a lion in the back seat of his car and started driving back to Chicago. Must have been on the suns a little bit before he realized that what would a lion be doing in downtown Chicago? Took that lion back. But Lord Buckley began with Aesop's fables, poetry, and then he was a great reader, a wonderful reader, all of his life. So he read about Gandhi, he read the Bible. He got sold under the counter with Red Fox, who said, of course, the F word many times. Lord Buckley said the Naz instead of Nazarene. Well, that freaked people out. They were ready for that. But he began to teach us. Mother said, Lady Buckley, and may I remind all of you, that Lord Buckley believed that all ladies and gentlemen were lords and ladies. That means you guys. Because I was born a princess into a royal court that existed only amongst those who agreed that it was so. And Lord Buckley gave everyone titles. Hello, yes, your lordship. Yes, your beauty. He'd walk up to an old lady in the supermarket holding a can of peas, and he'd waltz up on her, energy there for you forever and always. And it's really true. The piece he did, the Gettysburg is my favorite. He also did one on murder. He said, murder. Murder is very expensive. Murder comes from man's inability to control woman. And the rotten, vicious, terrible things she does to me are beautiful. Lord Buckley loved rap. But the point is, he would really struggle during the years of the 50s. Every time something great happened, 10 steps back would happen. He'd be doing shows. He'd be creating concerts. But like they said about him, there was nobody else like him. No one. No one to compare him to. The record people picked it up. Jim Dixon, who managed the Byrds, were so wonderful in our lives. He loved Lord Buckley, did the first 2 Via albums. Richard Bach from World Pacific, he saw it too. And he created albums. And even Frank Zappa, after Dad passed, Frank Zappa came back and produced an album of Dad's because he understood the beauty of the words that were changing the minds of people because of the power of love. So You know, I don't want to go on all night, but I'd like to read you the Gettysburg Address in HIP so that you can feel it and see it as I do. Now, some people wait for frames. I personally believe if I wait for a frame, I may never see it, so I do use thumbtacks. Lanky Link lays it down. 4 big hits and 7 licks ago, our before daddy swung forth upon the sweet, groovy land, a jumping, swinging, stomping, wailing new nation, hip to the cool, sweet groove of liberty and solid scent upon the ace lick that all cats and kitties, red, white, or blue, are created level in front. We are now hung with a king-size main day civil drag, sounded whether this nation or any other up there nation, so hip and so solid scent, can stay with it all the way. We have stomped out here to the house's side of some of the worst jazz blowing in the entire issue, Gettysburg. We are here to turn on a small soil stash of the before-mentioned Hassel site as a final sweet sod pat for the fine cats who laid it down, be scratched from the big race. And that's why I'm a Lincoln cat. These beautiful stories, these wonderful monologues, which you can check out on YouTube, and they're around. It's like a hidden gift, one that the people did in the quiet times of the musicians and the people who were hip having their groovy conversation, smoking a little hootie, having a happy dance. And the time is coming where Lord Buckley will have his day, where the words that he created and the messages that he sent are more important today than they have ever been. If I was a big gripper, I'd just grab Congress by their fannies and I would remind them that they're working for the people. If I ever hear another congressman, which I do bitch a lot on Facebook, it's the only revenge I have, but I do it, that you can't look at the beautiful Americans out of gigs, short on money, trying to find their way and call them lazy, not feed the hungry. I feed everybody. If I have $5, I'm giving $1 to who's ever there and needing it. I don't even have to know their story. I want to share it. And these are the days where we must register to vote. Yeah, I know the machines are kind of screwed, but it's the act of love and the belief that things can be better and that we're not going to be bought and sold by a bunch of fat cats addicted to wealth with no love in their heart. So I say this to you, that the beauty of love and the power of you is an amazing gift, and that you should never forget the beauty of yourself. And now, as true members and blessed people of the Royal Court of Life, welcome and all the love.
Let's give her a nice big hand. Laurie Buckley. Wow, that was a big thrill for me. That was one of the pleasure to hear you and to hear those great stories about my hero. Now I'm going to invite up a terrific poet from here in Los Angeles. I'm going to invite actually Connie Williams to come up here and read. I'm sorry. Are you not quite ready, Connie?
Who's that person? Who's it, man?
Let's give it a nice...
Ebony does not want to be my daughter. She has a better offer. Divorce and lovers compress DNA between daughters and fathers. Daughters are predatory orchids that siphon additional love from unsuspecting fathers, teasing paternal ego into submission, her will cast iron, a pair of capris parading obstinate, Hazel eyes that roll harder than a window-tinted 64 Chevy Impala on Crenshaw. Custody, visitation, diapers, doubting my patience to guide you through nostalgia, accelerated technology, through nights of imminent masturbation. December 2003, she say, ain't nothing for you to worry about. I was not ready for Red Storm or nursery rhymes, driving 4 freeways to get within burping distance to hear your daddy speak. Recall my resident weakness. There are no mirrors in my house to cast this father's reflection, so I will apologize to grandchildren you will bring home for Christmas, because today what you require seems exorbitant. My courage is napalmed, but my greatest fear is that you will hate me for writing this poem. He followed me like I ejaculated him on accountable streets. I never contributed sperm, only a stand-in toward his manhood. I'm closest thing to death, to taxes, cause Daddy Jack reaps harvest, got fists full of invites to all family functions. I ain't his daddy, but I love this boy. But he don't make no difference between me and biology. He has never hyphenated us. I sow wounds of discipline. Beatdowns ain't necessary. He got listening skills, and he a human adhesive. Obligation don't bind us. How come I wasn't there when he was conceived? Divorce never allocates stepchild support. Hold his hand into first job. I ain't his daddy, but I love this boy, and I don't make no difference between him and economics. He calls me father. Folks say we favor. DNA does a chuckle. I began to resemble him. Our acquaintance more than pigmentation. Manhood graduated him with me as a footnote. My chest still extend outside family photos. He and I don't need birth certificates to be kin. Gone into labor to deliver him from trifling. He still digests counsel. Dress up and smiles when I call him son. I never make no difference between him and biology. I birthed this boy with honesty. All y'all fathers stepping in, don't just loan them your name. Give them the gristle at the end of your bone. Reveal your scars and your fears. Hide prayers in their lunch and never ration relationship. I know I ain't his daddy, but I love this boy, and he don't never make no difference. That was 3 different poems. The first one was about my daughter called Impotent Paternal. The second poem was called A Coward in Parents' Clothing. And the last one was called Father, Another Man's Son. This poem is called House Party. It's perspiration dropped like summer rain upon the doorway. No expression or attempt to escape the sugary thickness inside a living room of congealed funk, alive and clinging to our bodies like maple syrup poured from the mouth of a mason jar. Smells like sweet, sticky sex, and each participant tries to catch their breath, and sparks fly even with the lack of oxygen, and stars lit the sky smeared with indelible ink. It was a hot night in a Louisiana summer brimming with youthful possibility. Never many sightings of that in our neighborhood, and I saw few escape the rain of despair that exists within the boundaries of Shreveport city limits. But this was an extraordinary night, when a young black southern boy not only realized his doubted sexuality, but caught a vision beyond life's axis, keeping time at the corner of Long and Doris Street. A weekend recess from chores and academic caught me and my boys concentrating on the one thing able to elude the poverty of Moortown, a house party. So me Lee Arthur and Luther followed the fresh scent of female adolescents along tarred streets and shortcuts through the yard back of Mr. Polo's duplex and store. Our faces were stained with high karate and our back pockets were filled with miniature liquor bottles we 5-finger discounted from Walgreens so we could party in our right
romance folding in my lap, much against my nature, I am letting go. Kayla, so inspiring. Can I come back and dance when you're here?
Yeah.
That'd be cool, huh? Okay. It's NaPoWriMo, which is National Poetry Month, and so we're challenged to write a poem every day. So I'm going to do something we don't normally do, which is to read you brand new work. This is day 16, and it's about to come out on the shoes, crinoline, itching our armpits, grosgrain waistbands, cinching sweet smiles into place. I grew up fearing Duke's lizard's smile, frozen in time between verses from the threat of Mac the knife, always waiting for the shark to bite with his pearly teeth. Big, look out, oh, Mackie's back in town. So this is another one from NaPoWriMo. This is 28. The unnameable god of hearth and home. This is no Herculean presence, no Sisyphus of the boulders. This is a boy god become keeper king of the desk. 2 desks, this and thus. His power is more subtle than true north. Instead of thunder, he wields a candle's soft flame at listening time. Instead of moving mountains, he is guardian of the key that fits the heckled lock, that turns the misfit flap, that stays all errant thought, neither blows heaven away or moves like a speeding bullet. This God, though his name escapes my mouth, is fresh as a moth. You cannot go searching for this God, but must leave your heart cracked open, wait for gold to mend the broken cup and fill it more beautiful than before. This is called Superstition, or the Hands of Glory, and it was made up of 2 superstitions from the Book of Superstition. The tragedy of Donkey Row tells the legend of stealing a handkerchief from around a dead man's neck. When the execution crowd dispersed, they mourned the loss of that miracle, maybe more than the life of the man on the rope. After they wandered away, they regrouped in a hotel lobby across the square. The true importance of the handkerchief suddenly became quite clear when the unsuccessfully gallowed man stood slowly and broke out in a pox from crown to chest and up and down both arms and covering all his other parts. Some of the women disappeared and ducked behind curtains of laughter in dismay. But it should be noted that deep in the folds of that kerchief came a message that a gentle mole on the left breast of a girl enables her to choose any man she desires. It is said by authority of this belief that she is rendered irresistible even in silence. She remains known to him and evermore. I'm going to do one more from my book, and just in case you don't have one, I have one for sale. Unemployed poet. This is called Full Frontal. Did everybody see the moon last night?
Yes.
Oh my God, it was just stunning. Full Frontal. A still full moon, under cover and darkness of midnight. The mere glance of the orb in my direction flirts with duties that lie before me, latches me into its grasp. It whets my appetite. I am night crawler in my own skin, hovering alien, looking for prey, soft tissue.
Go for it.
Hello. Hi. Thanks everybody for coming. I'm a little bit under the weather because of, the jacaranda blooming.
Yeah, me too.
So I think I sort of wrote this piece in honor of allergy season and May 1st. The jacarandas are in bloom. Seems like they'd come earlier this year. I'm an ambassador for the university. I represent the public face of the college. Excuse me, honey. Can you spare $1 or spare change? I don't want to be out here long. I just want to get a little gas money. A symphony of sticky, fragrant velvet lavender, a girl wrote once that I used to know. I shouldn't be out here much longer. Like I said, I've got a job. I'm gonna be a job as a topless maid. And someone once they told me recently that I should, work in fast food, but me, I have management experience. Anyway, maybe I should try junior college. As ambassadors, we mentor new students. We perform at special events and assist the president with special needs. The jacarandas are too early. It's clearly a sign of climate change. It's all going down. Bloop, 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 bloop. The hours drip by, and sometimes I catch a glimpse of my humanity through the reflection of the water cooler. Thank you.
All right, that was nice. Thank you, Jason. Do another round. Now I have a really wonderful storyteller and heartfelt person who comes up next. She works with Qumran Theater, Backstage Qumran, a wonderful theater company that I've been doing a lot of work with. They actually have a radio show every Monday night on Skid Row Radio. It's also a live cast, and that's on the internet on Skid Row Radio. Check it out. They have a lot of interesting things there. And I'm really happy to have her with me. She and I have been doing a play together. Actually, they've been reading so far, but we're going to be doing it as a play. It's called If the Shoe Fits, S-H-U, the shoe, which relates to solitary confinement in Pelican Bay. And this is a series of letters from men in Pelican Bay in solitary confinement and how it feels to be in solitary confinement. It's really quite amazing, and what a torture.
Trees, grass, or raindrop. I never knew how hard it could be to be denied nature itself. I had a small, narrow window that did not open, and all I could see was brick walls and nothing more. But I remember from those brick walls, a small plant grew from within the cracks of the bricks. Now, this was the only part of nature that gave me hope. As the wind would blow against the leaves of this plant, I would actually close my eyes and pretend that very wind was blowing against my face. I know it sounds crazy, but it was the only part of nature that I had. But one day, I could not stand it. And I so desperately wanted to feel real air that I began to scrape the seals of the window with my fingertips. I was determined to make an opening. For 3 months, every day, I scraped and I scraped where my fingers bleeded. And I was finally able to make a very small opening. And it was only big enough to fit one side of my nose against this opening at a time. And I would take such a deep breath. And I finally managed to inhale a very small amount of air, but it was all I needed in order to survive. The guards, they felt sorry for me. They bought me a paper and a pen to keep myself busy, being with I had nothing. And there is where I started to doodle on paper. And from there is how I became an artist. I never knew how to draw. I couldn't draw a heart to save myself. But after 3 years of madness, of being locked like an animal, instead of letting it get to me, put all my pains on that paper. And before you knew it, I had art. Thank you. Coming to look near you soon. But to lighten it up a little bit, I had a good friend, and Michelle knows Sunji quite well. He discovered me kind of like 4 years ago. I always have been a writer, but never a performer. He said, Andrea, you know, you need to get out here, man. I'm fitting to pimp your words because you are really great and we need to do something with those words. I said, you finna pimp my words? He said, yeah, I'm getting ready to pimp your words. I said, well, if you're gonna pimp my words, what does that make me? A word hoe? Yeah, that's what I am, a word hoe. Okay. And it stuck. And I will present to you a word hoe. I am function like pain. It runs through my veins, and I'm overdosing high with speech on the brain. Cause I'm a word hoe. Don't you know that I encapsulate your minds with my rhythms and my rhymes, drop it hot, funky, juicy, sexy, steamy, sizzling, poetic lines, time after time after time. Well, right now my flow is running this block. I got LA City straight down on lock, cause I'm making my cheese and my cheddar. Guess what? This book head job just keeps getting better. Hot now, they are begging me, please. I got them down on their knees with dope birds screaming, Andrea, don't hurt me, please, I'll be good. As you should, cause I'm a word hoe. Don't you know that I satisfy your minds with my rhythms and my rhymes, dropping hot, funky, juicy, sexy, steamy, sizzling, tantalizing, fantasizing, poetic lines, time after time after time after time. Well, that is the end of this set, but I'm all sticky and wet. And where's my word pimp? My talk money's right, Big Daddy, I had a real good night. But tomorrow, just about 10, I'll be back out on this word hole stroll again. To make you come, and make you come, and you come to hear me again. Cause I am a word hoe. And now you all here at the art show know I will have you turned out, no doubt, and I am damn good. Thank you. Last up, I'll make this one a short one. And I would also like to bring this from if the shoe fits. I am JRF within a cage. How can you lock me up in a cage within a cage? For some misdeed done within a cage? All you can do is feed my rage. You can't teach me nothing good in a cage, except monsters control the locks. And in my terror, I have lost the key within a cage. I plead, I pray every day, but it simply gets worse every day within a cage. Animosity worsens. Empathy is lost. And the DAYS days turn into a DAZE days within a cage. Thank you, that's it. Woo!
Sorry to be a little late. Jill and I were driving around in circles for about 45 minutes. We found our chair once, but unfortunately we couldn't find a parking space. And so we had to drive around what we thought was a pretty routine corner, and suddenly we weren't on 4th place anymore, or 4th Street anymore, or anything else.
The pigs on the guitar.
Pigs on the guitar.
The pigs on the
No, that's flat picks.
Oh.
Jill made me wear finger picks.
Oh.
I used to just, like that, like everybody else, but she's a classy guitar player. So.
By the way, we have 4 acres of free parking right across the street.
Yeah, thanks for telling me. Just you might have said something about it on the phone, You did? Well, finally, I broke down and asked when we saw somebody in the doorway. I said, "Is that a parking space?" And she said, "Right across the street, right across the street." A whole lot. So anyway, Lee wanted me to do some May Day stuff. Here is a song about May Day that I wrote because I couldn't find a song specifically about May Day. And the thing about May Day that's important to understand is that everywhere in the world, outside the United States, May Day is recognized as an important labor holiday. It's the labor holiday. In the United States, where May Day actually started, it takes second fiddle to Labor Day, which was started specifically to keep workers from too much to focus on May Day. So they created a second, less radical holiday in September so that we wouldn't become a part of the international worldwide revolution. So this tells, I got 2 songs that tell a little story about May Day. This is the first one. It's just called May Day. Started here in America, in Haymarket, not Red Square. So I don't miss the big parades of the Red Army over there. I don't miss the marching bands or generals on display. You don't have to go to Russia to find May Day. May Day is all around you. It's everywhere you look. It's not just in the dusty pages of some history book. For the people at the Estadio Chile, they smell smashed his hands and they killed him. Drove away in their Rolls Royce. They disappeared, the others, but they could not still his voice. Mayday is all around you. It's everywhere you look. It's not just in the dusty pages. It's not just in the dusty pages of some history book. It's in the upturned faces. It's in the upturned faces. Marching to be free and the rainbow of races in solidarity. And the last verse I'm going to dedicate to Donald Sterling tonight. Mayday is the question. Can we get along? If we can't answer Rodney King, where did we go wrong? Mayday is the homeless living in the parks, and the women who feed them every day, who never heard of Marx. Mayday is all around you. It's everywhere. It's everywhere you look. Not just in the dusty pages of some history book. It's in the upturned faces, marching to be free, and the rainbow of races in solidarity. Well, Lee seemed surprised I would bring 2 guitars to do 3 songs. And I debated about it. Because all you had to do was play out the ending. Why did you almost kill yourself to make one unnecessary play? And Joe DiMaggio said something I've never forgotten. He said, somewhere in that stadium tonight, there may have been a 10-year-old kid who's never seen me play. Ever since I read that, I said, you got to do your best show, whatever the situation. So this guitar is the guitar. It's called Haymarket Square. I'll tell you a little story about where it all started. In 1886, wait a second, that's good. In 1886, on the first day of May, the workers went on strike for the 8-hour day. The newspapers in Chicago created the first Red Scare. You'd have thought Marx and Engels were coming to speak at the Haymarket Square. It was only Parsons and Spice, but they told the facts as they were. How the police on Monday had killed 4 workers at McCormick's Harvester. When Albert Parsons finished, there were policemen everywhere. And someone threw a bomb in their midst at the Haymarket Square. Then all hell broke loose. There were 7 policemen on the ground. Someone started firing at anything that moved or made a sound. They rounded up the leaders, at the Haymarket Square. And when the dust had cleared, there were 4 ropes to hang them. There were prison cells for 3 whose lives were spared. But there wasn't any justice for the martyrs who led the strike at the Haymarket Square. In 1892, the people found their voice when John Peter Alcott was elected the governor of Illinois. He reviewed the trial transcript and concluded that it was not fair. And he pardoned Neby and Fielding and Schwab from the Haymarket Square. So you should have seen the headlines. Were they talking about someone else? You'd have almost thought that Governor Alcott had thrown that bomb himself. But it wasn't the Paris Commune, and he wasn't Robespierre, just the one honest man who told the truth about the Haymarket Square. So you who earn your living by the sweat of your brow, remember those who paid in full for you to live like humans now. There in Waldheim Cemetery, people come from everywhere to visit the graves of the heroes from the Haymarket Square. And when the dust had cleared, there were 4 ropes to hang them. There were prison cells for 3 whose lives were spared, but there wasn't any justice. But there was in a strike called the Bread and Roses Strike. A song came out of it called Bread and Roses. And the workers at the Lawrence Textile Mill, who were mostly young girls, mostly 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, working 18 hours a day. And the IWW, the Wobblies, fought for the 10-hour day in Lawrence in a strike that lasted almost a year. But they finally won, and won the 10-hour day. Once that principle was established, that speaks to that beautiful graphic design flyer that James put together, titled Wage Slave. That's what they were. These young girls were working with no real sense that there was a limit to what the mill owners could demand that they do. They were essentially slaves, making 32 cents a day. One of the songs that they sang on the green in Lawrence, Massachusetts, in 1912, 5 years before the October Revolution in the Soviet Union. Again, an American song that finally was translated all over the world and became an anthem in the Soviet Union. But it started right here in 1912 on the green in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Originally sung in France during the Paris Commune of 1871. So I'll do the opening verse in French and then the IWW verse that they started adding to the song at the Lawrence, Massachusetts Mill. The International. Here's an international anthem for me. Debout,
And glad to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Each and every one of you. It's just wonderful that you're here. I'm sorry to those of you who had trouble finding it, but now you know where we are. Here we are, every first Thursday of the month. So come on back whenever you can. And if I know you're struggling for something good, and that story that you told us just tells us we keep on struggling. We may not win now, but maybe future generations will benefit greatly from us giving our all.